Hey friends, welcome back. My name is Sophie Jantak and I like painting animals. So today I want to share my process of making a pet commission page. A huge thank you to Cherry for giving me permission to share all of this, as well as for commissioning me in the first place. If you would like to check out my commission information, as well as to see my entire gallery of pet commissions thus far, my website is linked below. I am currently taking commissions. And just a note, I only share commissions with permission. I know that these can be quite personal, and I'm more than happy to hide any information or parts of the page someone may want to keep private. So let's dive in. So the first thing I like to do for these commissions is to start getting to know the animal through sketches. So the idea behind these pages is to make something in the style of a nature journal page. So this means an assortment of text and sketches. And I also like to include a rendered painting that acts as a centerpiece. So I recently heard a piece of art advice that has been revolutionary for me, and it is, whatever you make, even if it's just, say, a 2-minute figure drawing, make it about something. It doesn't need to be anything deep or profound, but find something to make your piece about. So right off the bat, we're starting with a good example of this, because this is a sketch that I actually drew twice. The first version was just me trying to copy what I saw, and I wasn't thrilled with it. But for the second version, I chose to make it about the utter relaxation that I saw in the picture. This cat that's just fully passed out. And so we can see as I work on it, it's a lot more squished. We can feel gravity pulling a lot more strongly on this cat. And overall, we get something much more expressive. And so from here, I did my best to apply this trick to all my sketches. While I sketch like this, I like to set a timer that goes off every 2 minutes. You can look up loop timer to find one. I just use a website for this. I rarely stick to the 2 minutes I give myself, but it's good to have a goal, a little chiming reminder to move along, not spend too much time on this. It's just a sketch. And so for this sketch, I also wanted to make it about utter relaxation. This one, curled up, I wanted to make it more about a sense of coziness. I was drawn in by the overall round shape of this cat all bundled up, and so that's what I emphasized. This one, I mean, what could it be about but those legs? And the pose, the adorable spiral of this little cinnamon roll of a cat. This one was so much fun to do. Looking at it now, I notice how the back is very off in my sketch compared to the photo. But I think that accuracy can be found later on in the rendering process, and what I strive to capture in these quick sketches is the life and personality of the animal. And then finally came the centerpiece painting. I often do this thing, especially for the centerpieces, where I mash together different reference images and take what I like from each of them. So the pose in general looks like this image, but I love the face and squished neck of this one, and I also wanted the tail to wrap around the body like in this image. The next step was to set up the page layout. In this case, I actually got a little mock layout from Cherry, which is pretty rare for these commissions, but of course I love getting more information rather than less. So she did say that I didn't need to follow it, it was just some ideas she had. So I appended some text from another blend file of another commission I had done, just because they're all the fonts that I like, and so I figured I could save some time this way, not having to re-import all my favorite fonts. And from here it's just a lot of trying stuff out and seeing what I like. I know that the page layout will continue to transform and to be finalized as I work on the drawings, and so I try to just get something that in general, I like a nice composition, a nice arrangement of elements. Cherry mentioned that she wanted some pink flowers throughout the page, and I realized that this would go perfectly with the paw print sketch because the paw print was there to highlight the pink toe beans. And so I aim to have the pinks flow into one another and take us through the page. And so this is the version I sent over. I also included a page of my sketches. I do this in case one of my sketches might spark an idea for a different direction for the page. But in this case, we actually had a lot of free space in the page, and so I suggested we could add one without losing anything. And so Cherry picked, and I found a place for it, and I came back with this layout suggestion. She liked it, and we continued. So I don't have footage of the initial laying down of colors, sadly. But I do have a save file that we can look at. So we can see the before and after. This was really not a lot of time spent. And so if we go into the materials, we have this pink paw print. And then in edit mode, you can see that I used the shape of the fill to mask out the fourth toe print. For a more in-depth look at my process with stamps, I do have a whole video about this that you can check out. And so next, this pink flower stamp. It's pretty subtle. I was just leaning into pink flowers at this point. And then this stamp is the fur. I did a lot of masking for these just by using sculpt tools on these stroke outlines. And the idea was that I wanted this to be the base layer for the dark part of the fur. And so from here, I started to lay down more colors, more stamps, rendering a little bit. I like to regularly jump to different spots in a piece and not spend too long in one area, trying to render the image as a whole rather than section by section. That being said, I do go for the faces pretty early on, just because I personally feel like if I can get the face working, then I can rest assured that the piece as a whole will fall into place. So should we talk about that base layer of colors now? Because it's definitely something. So similarly to what I mentioned earlier, how with my sketches I strive to capture life above all and can render in realism later, I treat color much the same way. I've actually been experimenting with having incredibly out of this world colors as a base coat, and you'll see at the end, although most of those intense colors have been dulled by the layers on top, hints of them remain, and I think this contributes a lot to a piece. And so I was getting to a point now where I wanted to send Cherry another update, this time on the overall color palette of the page, which was looking very pink. Not a bad thing, I just wanted to make sure that she was cool with that. And so I knew that the stamp and those huge letters were not going to show up in the final piece, but I wanted to make that clear to her, and so to be safe, I did a really quick pass to cover up the stamps. I didn't love the look. I knew I would delete many of these strokes later, but this was about having something clear to show, and the letters I felt were just too distracting. So the next update I sent was this. She liked it, and we forged ahead. So there's not a ton I have to say about the rendering process, so I thought I could talk a bit about how these commissions came to be. So to date, I have made 11 pages, which is amazing to think about. And I owe all of this to my dear friend Beth, who came up with this idea for pet commissions. It all started with her requesting one of her cat Safi, and I couldn't get over what a good idea it was for a commission. So unique, something I've never seen before, and yet so in line with what I already love making. Doing these commissions these past 6 months has been a really amazing learning experience. The thing I struggled with the most, especially at the beginning, was the pressure. I was not used to making art for other people. I had dabbled before in trying to sell personal art as prints, but that was more the vibe of, if I like this, I can turn it into something, and not, this has to be good because someone has paid me for it. So that was a bit of a mindset shift for me. I did personally feel like I fumbled a little bit, especially with my first official commission, aka a stranger and not my friend. But thankfully the person was really sweet about it and she loved the final result. So this is the final stage of the process. I like to let a piece sit for a few days and come back to it with fresh eyes. And from there, spend a few chunks of time here and there, just tweaking small things that stand out to me. In this case, I really liked how the piece was looking, but what I most felt it needed was softness. And so I brushed that in and just added more blending between the colors. And then my final formatting steps are to shrink the page down. Because I always paint right to the edge of the paper, I can't help it, but you gotta leave a border for printing, so I've just embraced that and shrink it down. And to add an outline to the text to make it more readable over the areas where there is color behind the text. And so to conclude this video, that initial feeling of pressure is mostly gone. Each commission has helped me to discover more and more a process that I really enjoy using. And I guess I've learned to trust that I will be able to get a final result that I like. And in fact, I would say that these commissions, even that pressure, have really helped me to improve and to grow as an artist. It feels pretty surreal to compare my first and most latest commissions. I am just so proud of how far my animal paintings have come. So that is my video. That is my process. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you again to Cherry for commissioning me and for letting me share her page. My commissions are open and information is linked down below. But that is it for me for today. I will see you again very soon. Goodbye.